The coast was calm as the patrol ship cut through the water. Nothing unusual was expected that day. The crew chatted, half-focused on routine checks. Suddenly, one sailor pointed toward the horizon. Something round and green floated in the waves, not fitting with the empty stretch of sea they had been scanning all morning. At first, everyone assumed it was a buoy, the kind fishermen often left behind. But as they drew closer, it looked too smooth, too rounded. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The paint shimmered under the sun. Some men leaned forward, frowning. A buoy shouldn't be this large or drifting this far from any known fishing grounds. Something was off. The closer they came, the stranger it appeared. This wasn't a simple marker bobbing gently with the tide. Its curved surface caught the light differently. It had dents, scars, and the faded remains of something painted long ago. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them could say what they were really looking at. The captain narrowed his eyes and gave a simple order: "Bring us closer." The crew adjusted course, and the ship slowly edged toward the drifting object. Men crowded the deck, hands gripping the railing, straining for a better look. Their murmurs quieted as the gap narrowed. The strange ball loomed larger than expected. A sailor threw a grappling hook, tapping it lightly against the surface. The sound rang sharp and hollow metal, not plastic or wood. It was heavier than anything that should have been drifting freely at sea, the crew muttered. If it was metal, it wasn't just floating by chance. Something must be pulling it. The captain motioned for the rope to be pulled tighter. The ball rocked slightly, and another clang echoed across the deck. The sound was unnerving, as if striking an old tank. Men stepped back without realizing. For a moment, the water around it rippled strangely, and one sailor swore he saw the ball sink slightly. On deck, the men argued. Some insisted it was simply debris. Others were convinced it was military equipment, maybe even something dangerous. The uncertainty put everyone on edge. Nobody wanted to be wrong if it turned out to be something that could explode. They all looked to the captain, waiting for his judgment. Then one sailor broke the silence. "What if it's a mine?" The word spread quickly, carrying weight. Everyone stiffened. Mines had been known to drift for decades, forgotten relics from wars past. The idea was terrifying. The object's size and strange dents only made the possibility feel more real. The air grew tense. Despite their unease, a rope was tied around it. As the line tightened, the ball rolled slightly against the water's resistance. Instead of moving freely, it felt anchored, as if connected to something deep below. The crew's expressions shifted. It wasn't just drifting aimlessly. Something was keeping it there, hidden beneath the waves. The captain lifted the radio to call command. He reported their coordinates, describing the strange object in detail. But after a short reply, the line went silent. The static dragged on longer than expected. The captain tried again. No answer. The crew shifted uncomfortably. Alone with the strange ball, the sea suddenly felt bigger. A sudden shift in the current tugged at the rope, jerking it against the railing. The ball bobbed lower in the water, revealing a faint, rusted loop at its top. The rope strained. Whatever held it below wasn't light. The men exchanged worried looks. They weren't just dealing with a floating sphere. Something else waited. The crew heaved on the rope, expecting it to loosen. Instead, the strain only grew tighter. It wasn't a free object, it was attached. The water shifted oddly, as if disturbed from below. A silence spread over the deck, heavier than before. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but they all thought the same thing. What was down there? The decision was made. Divers would check it out. They moved slowly, pulling on heavy suits, checking tanks and gear twice. Their movements carried no banter now, only focus. Each man's face was drawn. The ship's deck fell quiet as the first diver stood at the edge, mask lowered, ready to slip into the unknown water. The first diver dropped overboard, bubbles rising quickly to the surface. The ship's crew leaned over, watching the trail as it drifted downward. For a while, nothing but bubbles marked his presence. Then, faintly through the line, his voice crackled, steady but strained. "Following the tether down now." The water below seemed darker than before. The diver followed the rope deeper, his torch cut through swirling silt, each beam revealing empty space. Then, slowly, a darker shape appeared ahead. Large, flat, and unnatural. His breathing quickened in the headset. He steadied his torch, trying to make sense of the outline. "There's something down here," he reported. The crew exchanged tense glances. The shadow expanded with each stroke closer. It wasn't just a shape, it was massive. The diver swept his light across what looked like metal plating, stretching wider than expected. It was no rock. His voice came back, shaky now. "This thing is huge." Above, the men stiffened at his tone. The ball suddenly felt much smaller. The diver signaled up with a tug, a warning to pull him back if needed. His words came through again, strained but steady. "It's not just a buoy. It's attached to something enormous." His torch revealed barnacles and corroded bolts. It looked like part of a hull. Nobody spoke on deck. The silence said enough. Suddenly, the radio cut to static. His breathing, his words gone. The bubbles slowed on the surface. Panic stirred on deck. The captain barked for a second diver. Below, the second diver followed the same line downward. His torch swung across shadows until he spotted the first diver, safe but frozen in awe. Ahead of him, the same massive shape loomed larger than before. The second diver steadied his breathing. He muttered quietly, "It's a wreck." Above, only static returned to the waiting crew. Together, the divers circled the mass. Their lights revealed edges, seams, and rusted bolts. Barnacles covered much of it, but the shape was clear. This was not random debris. The structure lay silently, half buried in silt, as if sleeping. Both divers hovered, aware of the size. It wasn't just large. It was once built to hold men. The divers scraped gently, revealing markings hidden beneath growth. Letters emerged, faint but unmistakable. Old lettering, the kind used decades ago. The divers steadied their lights. A ship's nameplate, though half eroded. "It's a vessel," one whispered into the comm. Above, the crew stiffened as the word repeated. "A lost ship? From when?" The mystery deepened. The design was unmistakably old, rounded edges, heavy rivets, thick plating, the kind of ship not seen in modern fleets. The divers circled, piecing together the hull's outline. Its size was immense, but more striking was its condition. It had been here for decades, untouched. The question formed quietly in every mind why it had been forgotten. Toward the stern, a door hung loosely, rusted hinges barely holding. Darkness waited inside. The divers exchanged a glance, both uncertain, but they knew they had to check. They floated closer, shining their lights inside. The beam caught on empty space and silt clouds, but there was more. Something was stored inside. The divers pushed gently, and the door swung wider. The sound of scraping metal echoed in their ears. Inside, the space was cramped but intact. They moved slowly, beams lighting corners buried in silt. Shapes began to emerge, stacked objects, ordered rows, not chaos, not random. It looked like it had been carefully arranged before being abandoned. Rows of crates lined the room, some intact, others splintered by time. Their wooden sides were covered in faded paint. The divers brushed sediment away. The markings were clear enough to recognize as military. Above, the captain received the words, "Crates, dozens of them." The deck crew exchanged tense looks. Weapons? Ammunition? What had they stumbled on? On the side of one box, they spotted stenciled warnings, symbols for hazardous materials, the kind used in wartime. For a moment, the divers froze, uncertain if they should move closer. They steadied their nerves, brushing deeper. The markings weren't for explosives. They were for storage, something fragile, something once valuable. The mystery only grew. It became clear. The sphere wasn't random. It was a marker, tied to the wreck to help locate it, but not to reveal it openly. Someone had wanted it hidden, yet still traceable. The realization sent a chill through both divers. This wasn't just lost by accident. It had been deliberately left behind. The ship's nameplate became clearer as more silt was brushed aside. It matched records of a wartime cargo vessel that had vanished without explanation. Its mission had never been fully known. Until now. The divers exchanged a look. This wasn't just a ship. It was a piece of forgotten history, resting in silence below the waves. The crates were finally opened. Inside lay preserved tins, faded packages, and bottle supplies. Medicine, bandages, food rations meant for civilians. The ship hadn't carried weapons at all. Its mission had been one of relief, not war. Lost at sea for 70 years, the wreck was finally uncovered. Above, the crew felt the weight of the discovery.